I'm Doug Stevens. I'm the Director of Marketing and Business Development. I've been with Aspire for a little over 11 years, and I'll be your host today. So before I hand it over to Greg, I just wanted to share a couple of thoughts. It's really an interesting time for business. We've all heard the buzzwords around digital transformation, things like IoT and social mobility and cloud. You've seen examples, companies like Airbnb and Uber, that have been sort of born out of this new era of digital business. We've also seen traditional companies like Walmart that have reinvented themselves, right? Sort of adopting new business models. In their case, becoming a dominant player in the online retail market space. I read a quote recently. I think it was from John Chambers. He's the former CEO of Cisco. He's now their chairman of the board. He said, "You can't achieve digital transformation without collaboration." A bit overstated, I'm not sure, but he's about things like agility and agile organizations. I'm going to talk a little bit about that today as well. So clearly, the way we work is changing. We have many more, remote offices. People are working from home. Companies are moving towards, some type of cloud strategy. The way we communicate is changing as well. We are very much a mobile workforce today, right? We're all connected all the time. And you're bringing your own personal devices to the workplace, right? And now IT is responsible for, providing traditional services, email, instant messaging, and voice services on employee-owned devices, right, in addition to corporate-owned devices. And video is becoming much more prevalent in how organizations communicate, right, not only internally, but with customers and business partners. So there's a lot going on. That's what we'd like to talk about over the next 40 minutes or so. So Greg is going to cover some of the important recent innovations from Cisco that are recent collaboration. We'll talk why collaboration is important to your business, whether allowing companies to make decisions faster or giving you the ability to interact with customers in new and more impactful ways. And we'll provide some real-world examples of how collaboration technologies can impact your organization. So we want to make this an interactive session. We have the Q&A window operable within WebEx, so feel free to ask questions. You don't have to wait till the end. I'll monitor the Q&A window for Greg as he's going through his presentation, and I'll pass those questions along to him. So, great. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Greg Clause, Aspire's Collaboration Practice Director. Take it away, Greg.
Thanks, Doug. So, as I said, please use the Q&A window. If you have questions, comments, concerns, whether it's product or not, just actively, that makes a lot of sense for me to just kind of talk along that presentation, right? So to reiterate Doug's message, reading John Chambers' quote, that kind of touches with me. We can't have a digital strategy without collaboration technology, right? And I think collaboration is central to our survival and central to the way we work. For me, it's really about the ecosystem. And, create and work on and use every day. So that the physical meeting spaces we work in, whether we're mobile or working from home, or if we're in an office, hot desking or something like that, right? It's about the ecosystem we create and how we're connecting with our peers, our colleagues, our business partners, our customers, right? And the future really requires a lot of agility in how we best use the technology around us. But, I think all in all, I think we need to do a better job of thinking about what is agility and what does it mean to our organization, and what steps do we need to take to be more agile. And Doug mentioned the number of organizations that have innovated and are now market leaders. But there are organizations we can think about that have it, and some of the large organizations from the 1990s that some are no longer with us, right? So from our perspective, this is kind of the path we've been on for the last 18 months or so, and certainly since I've started. and helping clients take the next step in terms of unified communications and collaboration. What really enables the business, and I think a lot of what Cisco and Aspire has to offer makes a lot of sense. I'll cover why collaboration, why now, and how do we start. So those are kind of the three fundamental questions. I'd like to kind of examine the current state of how your organization is working, right? And I'm happy to have those conversations one-on-one, and you guys can reach out to your account managers. And in regards to that, building a collaboration strategy that aligns with the business, and most importantly, the human capital and that element within every organization. And the piece, kind of creating experiences that are simple, and I highlight that word, intuitive and easy to consume. Because if it's simple and it's not intuitive, people aren't going to use it. All right. For those of you who are not aware, Cisco and Apple have kind of formed a strategic relationship, and I think it's really critical to collaboration as a whole, right, in the entire marketplace. Now, this kind of, strategic relationship, it's becoming interesting. I guess there's becoming an interesting integration in the mobile space. Tim Cook had an interesting quote. And he said that the strategic relationship between Cisco and Apple is creating a seamless integration of innovative collaboration services on the world's best mobile device. And just like John Chambers' quote, that really struck a chord with me. Right? The iPhone isn't the latest and the greatest in all aspects. It doesn't have the fastest hardware, but it's the easiest to use. It's the most simple. Right? It's all around us. And you know what? It works, and it works well. With this partnership, they'll be releasing a few different, from a technical perspective, a few different differentiators in the market. They're creating a fast lane for iOS users. And what that really means is they're working to optimize kind of a quality of service for iOS devices on Cisco networks with iOS apps. The second piece is integrating the iPhones and the iPads directly into all Cisco collaboration environments. And the third piece is providing a unique collaboration experience on all iOS devices. So this is kind of significant to the marketplace around us. So anyone, anywhere, anytime. Two Agile organizations do differently. For me, that means creating powerful, simple experiences. That's focusing on getting the experiences right the first time. So when it comes to collaboration, to me, it's not about like Google or Amazon or who releases the next app or who is being a disruptor to the marketplace. For me, historically coming from the enterprise, it's more about employee adoption and engagement, integrating, the technology into existing business processes that creates some synergies and efficiencies and makes a lot of sense. And also being able to leverage the technology to be far more engaging with your customers and partners, right? It's really about making decisions faster and the way we work has kind of changed, right? By 2020, there's an interesting quote from Social Media Today that's basically estimating that 5 times the amount of information by 2020 will be created compared to what we have today. 5 times. So if you think about Google and anytime you do a search and the hundreds of thousands of hits that kind of come up, 5 times the amount of information we have will be created by 2020 in the next 3 years. That's crazy. The traditional working is a little bit different, and 90% of organizations will have a mobile solution for workers by 2020. That's a major differentiator. And the ecosystem of collaboration, right? So 35% increase in innovation and creativity with collaboration outside of the organization, right? That's significant. So we'll talk about the ecosystem, and we got Cisco. How open your ecosystem is critical to how, in my mind, to how successful you're going to be. Right? Talk about specific alternative products and the rest of it, but Cisco is very, very open. If you need to make a video call, you know how to do that. right? Or if you need to receive a video call, you know how to do that. If you want to have a video conference and we just think about, level of effort it takes to do that today, it's far simpler and easier than 5-10 years ago. You don't need an executive service to make a lot of this, high definition, high quality stuff work. And it doesn't need to be in a boardroom. It could be at home on a personal device or on a mobile phone, right? Whether using an app or you're dialing via audio, or one of the spaces I think that's really coming and going to be innovative is leveraging the mobile experience natively, not having to download an app. I think there's going to be a lot of innovations in that space that are going to work seamless. I think the partnership with Apple is going to make a lot of sense. All right. So the rise of connected work. So the rise of connected work is really the heart of collaboration, right? And connected work is focusing on work results now rather than how, when, and where. Right? Connected work is a new approach to using advanced technologies and accessing global talent, really. So connected devices and services, we think about how we want to work and where we want to work, and we're able to switch context easily. Right? So it's the context of, or the kind of idea of, if I'm on the road and I'm coming into the office, being able to seamlessly switch from my mobile phone to my desk phone, higher quality audio experience on my desk phone compared to my mobile phone. And that ease of context switching, I think, is very, very important. That's a burden today, right? You might finish your hour-long conference call on a mobile phone where you would prefer to sit at your desk and kind of, the way I'm just speaking to you now. Placing collaboration at the heart of connected work is key strategically for, and as I kind of shown here on the slide, for increasing productivity, speed of decision-making, even growth of sales, improvement of customer service, enhancing the quality of life for employees, right? And like I quoted earlier, right, 90% of the organizations will have mobile capabilities in the workplace. That it sounds like we should already be there, but the marketplace is a big place. These are some personas I put together, just the way we think about, that one-size-fits-all approach, where we have an office manager, a mobile worker, and then a contact center agent, all with very different needs. And first, I'm just highlighting that the one-size-fits-all approach doesn't really work, right? The center agent might not need a mobile solution, right? The mobile worker might not need an office solution. So of bring your own X, bring your own device, bring your own laptop, bring your own app, bring your own, I guess, really anything. So from devices to apps, so Android, Apple, Windows, Box, Dropbox, Skype, Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, the list is on and on and on. So employees want the same fast, seamless experience at work they have in kind of the consumer world. So the challenge has been, traditionally, especially within the enterprise, that there are a lot of limitations in regards to what can be used, whether it's for security or integration and the rest of it, right? And I think if we step back and take into account the use cases and or basically why employees are using their own technology or finding new ways to collaborate, and we look at those use cases and we take the personas into account, we can create, integration of the technology silos that kind of we have today, right? The goal is to simplify and make it easy to consume. Okay. So what's really missing in all of this? And in my perspective, it's a way to do these things, consistently across a variety of tools and devices, not on a desktop and a mobile phone, also including just normal phones and video conferencing, and really what the connected experience looks like in a physical room. Here at Aspire, that's a major, major investment point for us. I'm a believer in the physical room space, and we're working on a lot of innovative and future technologies in the physical room space. I can talk about some of those transformative digital impacts that we've had at a few customers already later on in this presentation, but I'm a big advocate of innovations in the physical room space and being able to connect that room to the boardroom or to another classroom, or users that need to work remote or from their iPad or home or what have you. So what is really the goal? And my goal kind of with this presentation is to focus on how simple collaboration can be if it's done right. And how do we start? So traditional unified communications is convergence of data network and your voice network. Traditionally, they used to be different, and I'm talking about maybe circa 05 is when we started to see some maturity in what we'll call the voice over IP market. So, and since then, right, convergence wasn't really trusted, but now it's the status quo, right, with over Ethernet and a lot of other technical things, right, with quality service and those types of things. So collaboration kind of started with unified communications and voice over IP, right? That's the convergence that we started with 10, 12 years ago, right? And now it's further mature, right? It's kind of the standard. And I think we've kind of progressed into simplify. And it's how do we use communications or unified communications to enhance productivity and reduce cost. And the focus was really trying to simplify. Things like centralized SIP trunking, or instant messaging and presence, or unified messaging from a voicemail perspective, or synchronizing, how do I synchronize Office 365 with my voicemail environment, and how do I integrate that into a directory? Something, is key. And I think today we're kind of between simplifying and enabling, right? One piece of the, strategy that I feel was kind of left behind, and I'll go back to this a few different times, is the physical room space. And in the physical room space, I still think we're stuck between convergence and simplification. But when we talk about, messaging, and Cisco has an absolutely amazing next generation messaging platform called Spark, that's very forward thinking, and I think that makes a lot of sense. But I think we bring the physical room space kind of up to meet those requirements, right? Because you're not going to be sitting in a room or in a conference room and collaborating together over mobile. No, you're having a very real in-room experience, right? And there may be, I guess, some millennials that might disagree with that, but right, I think kind of the case. And enablement, right? So that's really creating a ubiquitous experience across the board. And as we go, we're kind of the utopia would be true digital transformation. On this slide in a few. Cisco has this concept of no compromise collaboration, right? It means every room, every desk, every pocket. And that's key to the strategy. And I move from unified communications to collaboration with next generation platforms such as Spark that I mentioned and WebEx. All right. So I'm going to touch too much on product, but I love this stuff. So from a product,
this has changed a lot, right?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
If you haven't looked at video in a few years, I mean, honestly, a few years ago, video, around the Tandberg acquisition was expensive, right? And it was tough and it was hard to implement and it wasn't super user-friendly, but prices have come down. Ease of use has improved dramatically. So if you haven't looked recently, time. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I couldn't say it any better than myself. So from a huddle room to a small meeting room that might be 2, 3, 4, 5 people, very cost effective, entry level telepresence. You can get an entry level telepresence experience that's not expensive. And most importantly, when we talk about simple, we create an experience that makes sense. And Cisco has an amazing product they call Touch 10. And regardless of any of the products you use in the telepresence space, you use the Touch 10 as that single user interface for like room booking or even controlling the TVs for cable TV if you want. Inherently, voice and video, I kind of take that stuff for granted, but if you don't, this telepresence stuff and these innovative products that they have here that I'm kind of showing are a phone and natively registered to the core of the collaboration ecosystem, which is the Unified Communications Manager if you have an on-prem environment, right? And more recently, I think it was maybe January 24th, Cisco released a next-generation interactive board, calling it the Cisco Spark board. And this is a native device that registers into the Cisco Spark cloud where you can either you can use it for a local collaboration experience, whiteboarding and things like that. You can have your meetings for video conferencing on this device, and at the heart, it's a phone as well, basically. So it's a touchscreen interactive device. The one I'm showing here is a 55-inch. There's also a 70-inch as well. This is kind of, plays on the local point of innovating in-room collaboration, right? Even if you don't have desks in your office today and you just have meeting spaces, the type of technology I think that where that is headed, and I think where a lot of experiences are headed to a simple ubiquitous experience.
Hey, question in from one of the attendees: is Cisco Spark replacing a product or series of products?
That's a really interesting question. That would be a loaded question. I'm assuming they're talking about Jabber. And I'm assuming they're talking about, possibly some other messaging products as well. I think eventually, so Cisco Jabber today is like the largest, I think, IM presence implementation today. It's up there. It's head for head with Skype for Business from an instant messaging and presence perspective. And I think Cisco Spark is next generation messaging. And some initial noise in the marketplace regarding, the ability to possibly replace email in the future. And I don't think we're there yet, and it's difficult to forecast past like 2 and 3 years. But that's a really interesting question. I'd love to see where it goes. In terms of today, it's about what Spark can do as a replacement for any product and how the experience of Spark can enhance what you're already doing. Right? It's about messaging and how you can integrate a very powerful platform like Spark and Cisco Cloud Services into things like workflows. So direct replacement for something like Jabber, not today, it's not, but I think it's a great augmentation, and I think we're going to see some interesting solutions in the near future from Cisco to migrate from Jabber to Spark, but at will. I think today that Cisco has roughly 30 million implemented endpoints of Jabber today, right? So that stuff's not going anywhere very quickly. But these updates come. I mean, we're happy to provide these updates and talk more. Awesome. From an every desk perspective, I showed kind of the physical meeting room experience, but even from a desk perspective today, whether it's an office or a regular desk, the 8800 line and the DX line make a ton of sense from a personal video conference perspective, as well as from a telepresence and an immersive experience. The same operating system that runs on these endpoints also runs on higher-end telepresence. So again, keeping it very simple, intuitive, would register these endpoints similar to the telepresence endpoints into the communications manager and create a simple experience from that perspective. All right, so the every pocket strategy. So there's a lot to talk about in this space, and the Spark can kind of allude to some of this. Cisco created a really amazing collaboration cloud, and that today is kind of comprised of WebEx and Spark, right? And today they call it the annuity platform, right? If you're talking with Cisco directly about this, and there's going to be an evolution. Today, that same back end of a cloud is WebEx and Spark. And on-prem, from everybody on this call's perspective, on-prem instant messaging and presence, right, which is legacy messaging, is Cisco Jabber. And the important thing, I think, take away from here is you don't need to choose one or the other. And there's a hybrid services approach that I think is critical to every organization, not just in the collaboration space, but in general. There's an overall arching discussion regarding, hey, do I move to cloud? Do I keep my data center? Do I keep my colo? Why do I need to maintain these email systems and video bridging systems and sales apps and the rest of it? I'll just move it all to the cloud and kind of consume it that way. And that's a relevant discussion to the state of collaboration, but collaboration is a little different in a way that there's an easy to turn up, easy to consume model that fits within the hybrid space that makes a ton of sense. So if you consume, if you have a corporate office with 100 people in it today, and you have a communications manager, and you're starting a new sales office tomorrow with 10 people, you can, register that sales office to Cisco Cisco Spark and register endpoints to Spark, and you can have connectivity between on-prem and cloud, right? That's a key differentiator because you don't have to choose one or the other. And I talk about licensing and the rest of it, but it's an easy-to-consume, easy-to-migrate model. If you love the experience with Spark, you can take some of those on-prem users and migrate them to the Spark and the Cisco cloud and still maintain that physical presence footprint. And when you feel the cloud is ready and that it meets all the features and functions that you need as an organization, whether that's a contact center or Informacast integration for security automation and paging and things like that, you can kind of consume the technology as you want. And then all of this is kind of overarched by the collaboration meeting space for me, which is WebEx, which is key to voice, video, conferencing. Really, this is just synchronous communications. So I hope I didn't confuse anybody. I mean, but I think there's a lot of conversation to have in this cloud space, and I think the main takeaway here is you don't need to choose one or the other. You can have the best of both worlds. All right, so this is back to the collaboration space, and this touches on my hybrid messaging as well regarding accelerating innovation with hybrid. To me, hybrid is a bridge, whether you're choosing to move cloud to premise or just to cloud. If you need to do executive boardroom 1080p telepresence and each one of your video calls is 18 megabit, well, the cloud isn't really ready for something like that yet. But a 720p video call in a WebEx that, you know, I often demo, and if you haven't seen, please reach out to me. I'd love to demo some of this great stuff for you. If that's good enough at 1.5 meg or maybe 2 meg call, that's a phenomenal experience. And, you know, cloud may be far more appropriate and cost effective for something like that. Messaging and kind of takeaway from here is as we're accelerating into what we call digital transformation and moving everything to digital, you know, the hybrid approach should be considered, in my mind, every single time. Even using, you know, a full portfolio of Microsoft or Google, or Amazon or whatever, considerations for on-prem cloud are key. And I think something like 95% of enterprises are hybrid, right? They selectively choose services they want to consume from the cloud and which services they want to keep on-prem, especially as it relates to security. So the cloud service. So Cisco Spark. So Cisco, what is it? In my mind, Cisco Spark is next generation collaboration platform that basically takes messaging to the next level. Can I register phones there? Yes. Can I register telepresence endpoints? Yes. Does it work with my on-prem environment today? It absolutely does. Is it replacing Jabber like the comment we had earlier? We're not sure yet. We're gonna wait and we're gonna see before we take an official stance on that type of thing. But if you want an easy to turn up, easy to consume, simple solution that probably meets most, if not all, of your requirements today, cloud service like Cisco Spark should absolutely be considered. And there are all types of tiers, right? Whether that's, you know, you want basic messaging or basic meetings, or even if you want advanced meetings, which is Cisco Spark and WebEx all bundled into a really cost-effective package, it makes a lot of sense to at least take a look. So reach out to Doug, reach out to myself, reach out to your account manager, and we can absolutely talk more, get you set up on a try and buy or a demo, and have that take that conversation further and what it means to you and your organization. All right, so hybrid services piece, and then there's also a Spark for developers piece. And earlier I kind of made mention of workflows and what does that really mean? And the Cisco Spark Cloud has really been developed around the ability to integrate collaboration into the business. And what I kind of mean by that is integration into the way you're doing service and support, or integration into the sales functionality, or integration into a strategy as it relates to storage. I mean, you know, Google Drive and Box and Dropbox and all those great cloud services. There's direct hooks and direct integration from the Cisco Cloud into those other cloud services as well. So when we talk about workflows and we talk about automation, this is a cloud that was developed to be further developed. next piece of where I see things going is purely digital. And I'm going to give a couple use cases of what that means, what digital transformation means to Aspire today, and some use cases and some things that we've done. But today, in the collaboration space, I think we're all over the place. I think a lot of people still consider collaboration to be unified communications. In the physical meeting space, we're stuck in this place between convergence and simplicity, right? And I always focus on trying to keep things easy to, simple and easy to use, right? But when we talk about the messaging world, when we talk about transformation with workflows and Cisco Spark, we're putting into an acceleration phase here, right? We're going up the ramp, and then we're also talking about true digital transformation. So collaboration as a whole, and I have a great slide I can share, with further conversations with many of you on the call. It shows my brain of collaboration, and today we're all over the place. If we're talking about our contact centers, or just our phones, or I integrate my security system, right? Or I still have all these legacy POTS lines for Verizon, right? We're still talking about convergence. But if we're talking about Spark, we might be talking about digitizing your business. And, what types of efficiencies or economies of scale or synergies exist within, improving business processes and things like that. All right, so this is something we did with a customer, and it's really telemedicine. So I'm not sure how many people on this call have kind of been to their doctor recently or done telemedicine point-to-point video call. We implemented this for a large hospital that I'm sure everybody that at least lives in New Jersey knows. Telemedicine experience is really, really great and efficient tool. If anybody on the call is a healthcare customer, but they're very much a healthcare customer of Aspire. But telemedicine use case is an absolutely amazing use case.
Yeah, particular case, they had multiple sites where they had child psychiatrists that, as opposed to having to travel from site to site to spend time with patients, they were able to leverage video to have a very personal, very immersive experience. You're right in the room, but without the the travel either by the doctor or by the patients.
Right. All right. So the other digital transformation use cases. There's a large university within the state of New Jersey, 5 campuses, 65,000 students. You can probably guess who it is. They have a busing service today it's today, and it's going to be greatly reduced, but you talk about digital transformation, the use case here is five campuses, 65,000 students, and there's a few thousand students today that are bused between campuses all over New Jersey. This is a major issue for the university because students aren't getting to class on time. Booking is a challenge. There's a lot of efficiencies that are completely lost because students don't live close to campus, or they're working and things like that. The scheduling is a very, very difficult piece. So one of the things that we did for this university is we created an immersive classroom experience. What I mean by that, and this is an example from what we call the throw room, which is the room that the physical professor is in that day, which 200 students being able to interact with 200 other students in a remote classroom, somewhere else on another campus. And this could be within the same university or connecting to another university if synergies exist. And this is a true digital transformation, use case that we've just completed within the past month or so. And the ability for students to choose which campus they're going to attend class, and they're still having that physical experience. They're still in class. Is huge, and I think that's a major differentiator for this particular organization, and I think that applies to higher education entirely as a whole. And I think there's also a lot of enterprises and organizations that can also benefit from an immersive experience, even if it's not a classroom. It's still a true immersive experience. Do you have any comments, Doug?
No, exactly, and it's reducing the burden of having to transport students in between campuses, and it's improving the learning experience, right? So you can share content. It's there in the classroom where the professor exists, and it's very transformative.
So one of the Aspire pieces, and one of the true values of Aspire, is our ability to manage what may be a burden for you, right? Commodity services regarding dial tone and voice and video bridging, and being able to monitor, maintain your services for your business and allow you to focus on transformation within your company. The solution that Aspire often goes with is what we call VIGILENS, which is our managed platform. And Aspire has a very, very strong managed services, I guess, organization within Aspire, and we have a large network operations center. I think it's like 30 by 30 or 40. It's large.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's large, right? So we have anywhere from 12 to 15 people there most days, and real message here is that Aspire has the ability to manage it all for you and kind of take the burden away, especially if you like our messaging and you like the strategy that we're talking about and the technology we're talking about and where we're going with the overall, I guess, state of collaboration and unified communications. Not a difficult turn up for us. And that's the last piece is, along with the Aspire Managed Services piece, is the managed collaboration piece. And with that, this has caught on like wildfire within the past 6 months for us. We've onboarded many customers, and service makes a lot of sense. With some of the bullet points I mentioned here, upgrades are also bundled with this solution. So today you're on Call Manager 9 and you need to get to version 11. If you're on Aspire Managed Services, you don't pay for that upgrade, right? At year 1, when you're a customer with us, you get one minor upgrade. At the end of year 2, you get a major upgrade. So you're at version 9, you're going to version 11, or whatever the latest stable release is. And end of year 3, you're doing another minor upgrade again, right? So the whole idea here is we're able to take these services, whether it's WebEx or Spark or hybrid services, or just keep your on-premise infrastructure up to the latest and greatest with features and functionality you want, if that's important to you, or keeping the environment stable and secure, right? And key to I think where Aspire's headed as a services organization and as an integrator. All right, I'm not sure you want to finish some of this up.
No, that's it. So we keep it to 40 minutes. We cheat and keep it to 45 if people have questions. I know we've answered a couple here sort of midstream. Does anybody else have any questions before we wrap up? Feel free to jump into the Q&A window in the lower right. I would suggest this: if there's things that you've heard today that are of interest to you and you'd like to do a deeper dive, Greg would be happy to either set up a separate WebEx or come on site and speak specifically to some of your challenges and requirements, and have a conversation with you. So I leave that as a takeaway. Please reach out to either myself or Greg or your account manager. We'd be happy to facilitate that conversation. Again, thank you for your time today. We very much appreciate it, and hope to see you soon.